It's funny how two places just a few miles apart can tell one single powerful story. We're talking about one of England's most famous university cities and a truly monumental palace. Together, they give us this incredible look into the nation's character. So let's dive into this tale of two Englands and see what they have to show us. At its heart, it all boils down to two very different but very powerful forces. On one hand, you've got Oxford, the city that grew up kind of organically over hundreds of years to become this powerhouse of learning, its whole job to shape minds. And then you have Blenheim, a palace that was built as this single, bold statement of power. Its purpose? Totally different. It was built to shape memory.
And this quote, it just nails it. This is what this whole explainer is about. These aren't just two separate tourist spots you check off a list. No, they're two sides of the same coin, two expressions of a national identity, one built on thinking and learning, the other on leadership and victory.
All right, so let's start with Oxford. You have to understand, this is not a city that was laid out on a master blueprint. It's a place that just happened. It grew out of centuries of teaching and arguing and just pure intellectual curiosity. Unlike a modern university campus, Oxford doesn't just hit you all at once. It's more subtle. It sort of reveals itself to you, piece by piece. You'll see a tower peeking over a roof, or you'll turn a corner and suddenly find yourself in a perfect green courtyard. It really draws you in, instead of just shouting that it's there. And you'd think a place this grand had some epic origin story, right? Well, its beginnings were way more practical than poetic. The original name, Oxenforda, literally just means the ford where your oxen could safely cross the river. So way before it was a hub for the world's greatest thinkers, it was just a good spot to get your cattle across the water. But isn't it amazing how a poet, Matthew Arnold, could come along in 1865 and just perfectly capture the city's vibe with one phrase? That sweet city with her dreaming spires. I mean, it's been over 150 years, and nobody's come up with anything better. It just fits. But don't let those dreaming spires fool you. That beautiful, elegant quality is really just a layer on top of something much, much tougher. The grace you see in Oxford today was forged in conflict and struggle just as much as it was in scholarship. For centuries, there was this massive, often violent tension between the university students, the gown, and the local townspeople, the town. It got so bad in 1209 that a bunch of scholars literally had to flee for their lives. And where did they end up? Well, they went north and accidentally founded a little rival university you might have heard of, Cambridge. Later, in 1355, the St. Scholastica Day riot was basically an all-out street battle that left dozens of people dead. And yet, out of all that chaos and friction, you get these spaces of just impossible peace and harmony, like Radcliffe Square. I mean, look at it. The perfect circle of the Radcliffe camera, all the Gothic architecture around it. It's got to be one of the most beautifully composed spaces in all of England. But then you walk just a few steps away from that perfection, and you find a brutal reminder of a totally different kind of conflict. There's this small, easy-to-miss cross embedded in the pavement. It marks the exact spot where 3 Protestant bishops were burned at the stake for their faith back in 1555. Beauty and brutality, literally side by side. Okay, so this city is just packed with secrets, things hidden in plain sight. For instance, here's one for you. How do millions of priceless books travel, completely unseen, right under the streets of Oxford? Believe it or not, the answer is a massive underground conveyor belt system. It connects the main library storage areas to the reading room in the Radcliffe camera. So a scholar requests a book, and this little machine just whisks it through a hidden tunnel and delivers it right to their desk. It's this perfect blend of ancient wisdom and, surprisingly, modern mechanics. All right, here's another one. I'm just going to put a number up here for you. 101. What in the world could that possibly have to do with the daily life of this city? Well, that number takes us to the Great Tom Tower at Christ Church College. Every single night, at just after 9 o'clock, its giant bell rings exactly 101 times, once for each of the college's original scholars. It's a living piece of history, connecting the Oxford of today straight back to its medieval beginnings. So that's Oxford. It's a city of these intimate spaces, of hidden lanes and nooks and crannies, all on a very human scale. But now, we're going to take a short drive down the road, and the scale, the feeling, the entire point of the place, it's all about to change dramatically. And here we are, Blenheim, often called the Palace of Victory. This place wasn't built for quiet study or thoughtful debate. No, this was built as a national monument, a massive celebration of military power carved into stone for everyone to see.
You see, Blenheim was never really meant to be a cozy home. It was a gift, a huge one, from a grateful Queen Anne and the entire nation to this man, John Churchill, the first Duke of Marlborough. And it was all for his incredible victory over the French at the Battle of Blenheim in 1704. And this battle wasn't just any old skirmish. It was a massive turning point in European history. A victory here stopped France and Spain from joining forces to become this unstoppable superpower. It completely changed the balance of power on the continent. It was, to put it mildly, a very big deal. But here's the twist. The palace itself was born out of a totally different kind of conflict. Sarah, the Duchess of Marlborough, she was a character. She didn't want this massive theatrical palace. She just wanted a comfy country house. But the architect, Sir John Vanbrugh, he had this epic vision of a grand national monument. And their arguments, they were absolutely legendary. So, what have we got? We've got a city that grew over generations from debate, and a palace that was built to celebrate a single moment of victory. So how do these two completely different places come together to tell one single story? This table really breaks it down, doesn't it? Look at the origins. Oxford grew slowly, organically. Blenheim was a single, deliberate act. The purpose? One was there to shape minds through learning, the other to shape a nation's memory of a great victory. And the scale says it all. One is intimate and human, the other is just theatrical and monumental. So it all comes back to this one simple, powerful idea. Through all those centuries of learning and debate, Oxford literally shaped the nation's mind. But in one huge, grand gesture, Blenheim came along and shaped its memory, its sense of pride, its sense of its own place in the world. And when you look at that Oxford skyline again, you start to get it. These two huge forces, the power of the mind and the power of the state, they're not really separate things. They're two parts of the same whole, and together they create a story about a nation's character that's so much bigger, so much more interesting than either one could ever tell on its own. It's a city of ideas, of history, of struggle, and of incredible beauty. And when you see the light hit those spires in just the right way, you finally understand why that one word Matthew Arnold chose all those years ago has never been improved on: dreaming.